so excited to have you guys with me tonight. Let's get into this. Tonight's video is a creepy video, and I'm so excited. This story or video is based on true events and a true story, so I'm so excited. Have you guys ever heard of the Sallie house? If you haven't, don't worry, you will tonight. The Sallie house was a house that was built in the mid-1800s, but don't worry, that's not the important part here. This house was actually stated to be one of the most haunted houses that you could ever come across in all of the U.S. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's saying something, so it has to be pretty haunted, right? This house is located in Atchison, Kansas. So if you guys ever want to visit, at your own risk, of course, you know you're more than welcome to. This house, the Sallie house, is circled around one little girl named Sallie, who actually passed away inside this house from surgery, from removal of appendix, is what I read. So, she didn't make it. With that, once she passed away, strange and unusual things were happening inside this house. There was a family in particular that moved into this house, and this was their dream house. Slowly but surely, things started happening inside this house. They started seeing strange fluids leak and seep from the walls. They heard disembodied voices, apparitions from the corner of their eyes, things being thrown and moved around, and so much more. It is stated that Sallie might not be a little girl at all, but actually a demon that possesses the form of Sallie. So, it's pretty creepy. So, with all that being said, guys, I'm going to stop talking right here, and we're going to get into this video that I put together for you guys. This is the story of the Sallie house. So, guys, let's get into it. I'm excited. Don't forget your blankets, and maybe keep a light on or two, or watch this in the morning. Let's get into
The notorious Sallie house looks like any other. It is, however, considered to be one of the most haunted houses in the U.S. And while it's possible to stay there overnight, all guests have to sign a waiver upon entry to take responsibility for any injuries they may suffer while on the property. The home once belonged to the town's doctor and was where he treated all of his patients. One day, the mother of 6-year-old Sallie rushed in with her daughter in her arms after she had collapsed with abdominal pains. The doctor knew straight away that this was a case of appendicitis and that he'd have to operate quickly to prevent the organ from bursting inside her body. There was just enough time to give her some painkillers, but not enough to let them fully take effect. So as the surgery began, the house was filled with chilling screams from the girl. Unfortunately, the procedure failed, and Sallie died on the operating table, with her final thought being of this evil man who she believed was torturing her. More than 100 years later, in 1993, a couple moved into the house and soon began experiencing weird events that appeared to prove that the spirit of Sallie has been trapped there. Strange cold spots, unexplained fires, and mysterious attacks on the husband became common, as did technical malfunctions, objects seemingly moving on their own, and animals refusing to enter some of the rooms.
Oh my God.
If you'll really throw something, please throw that ball down the stairs. No! You are kidding me! That is proof!
One little girl isn't playing nice. The Sallie house in Atchison.
Sallie's spirit is still here.
The most compelling haunting case our investigative team has ever encountered.
What the
this is crazy.
Oh my God, dude.
Wow.
Dude, loud as
Sallie house, considered the most haunted house in America.
little daughter.
You guys believe this?
This is the most real we've ever dealt with, man. No way!
marks across his back. I mean, it really looked like an attack.
Unfortunately, in his haste to help the girl, he incorrectly administered the wrong amount of anesthetic. The girl died on his operating table, screaming in pain as he cut into her. This is the widely spread origin story of one of the most infamous haunted houses in all of America, the Sallie house. But while it makes for a creepy tale, it most likely isn't true, or at least there's no evidence that it's true. There are some elements that are though. Charles Finney was a medical practitioner that lived in the house. In fact, the house was built some years before the story is said to take place, by a MC Finney. The house remained in the possession of the Finney family for years, and a number of them passed away within its walls. But there are no records that suggest a small girl named Sallie was ever treated there, or lived there. But maybe these encounters with spirits that so many people claim to experience aren't the lost souls of the dead at all. Maybe they are manifestations of something else. In this episode of the Tape Library, we're going to be visiting the Sallie house and going over the terrifying experiences of the Pickman family and their shocking, violent encounters with something that appeared to be sharing their home with them. In the early 90s, Tony and Deborah Pickman moved into 508 North 2nd Street. What followed was one of the most well-documented hauntings of all time. A big part of this was due to the TV series Sightings, who carried out numerous investigations into what they referred to as the Heartland Ghost. Because of this, there are visual examples of many of the phenomena the family encountered during their 2 years living in the Sallie house. I'll link to the Sightings episode in the description if you want to watch these clips in full. I'm going to go over some of the most notable incidents in Deborah and Tony's time in the home. There are so many encounters that they describe. I strongly recommend delving into some interviews with the couple if you want to learn even more. But here we go. Deborah was from Buffalo originally. She's always had an interest in the paranormal, but never experienced anything personally in her younger years. The two met in Kansas and bought the house in Atchison together when they were expecting their first child. Tony did not have any interest in the paranormal, though he was raised as a Catholic. It all started fairly innocently. Everything seemed fine when they moved in, but within a month of being in the property, they started to hear odd noises. Lights would flicker or dim. There were strange occurrences, but nothing that jumped out at them as specifically paranormal. Lights would dim while they were sat there watching TV multiple times a night. The chains on their ceiling fans would spin.
How did that happen?
You're about to witness the real footage of the Sallie house hauntings.
Oh, crap.
This story is about a demon disguised as a little girl.
There's a little girl that's standing right there.
Let's get into the story. Trigger warning, because this is a very scary true ghost story. Everything from the evidence to the sound design to the storytelling, doing this to let you experience the fear that these families went through. So if that's not something that you want to see, then this video is not for you. But if you do like that, then this video is perfect. It's 1992 in a small town called Atchison in Kansas. And it is here where we find a beautiful house. This house was built in the 1800s, and married couple Tony and Deborah Pinkman decide that they should move in. They just had a baby, so they built a nursery upstairs. But then the strange things started happening. Doors flinging open. You take a picture of the door and something is floating in the doorway. The wax on their candles is going up. Not down with gravity, the wax is going up. The lights are flickering, and every picture that they try to take has these strange, blurry apparitions. Then they would discover the pentagram that resides in their basement. So at first, they just put up with this. But one night, Tony got home from work. As he walked upstairs to Deborah, he was suddenly hit by something that felt like a truck. It hit him so hard that he flew out of his laced boots. It then pinned him down to the ground. He was fighting to move, but he couldn't. And all Deborah could do was stand in silence because she was too scared to even scream. When Tony could finally stand, he felt his back burning. And that's when Deborah watched scratches form in front of her eyes. These would be the first of many that would scar him for life. And when this entity began to light fires on their newborn baby's clothing and items around the house, it became too much to bear. Later that night, they went to bed. But then they began to hear groaning and whispering. As they laid in the dark behind their heads from inside the wall, they would hear the tormented sounds of something. Then they would hear their door creak open, creak back shut. They could then feel the presence of something standing over them, and they wouldn't get any sleep. Then they would hear their baby cry, but they were so absolutely terrified that they couldn't even stand to check. It's not just the fact that something is in your room, it's the energy that it carries with it. They would make it through these horrible nights. And during the day, every time they walked up the stairs, they would pass through this electric energy that was so powerful it would burn your skin. You would hear the pops of static and then feel a slow burn as it carved up your back, leaving deep in scratches. Now, this story is going to have a part 2, and part 2 is absolutely crazy. The craziest paranormal evidence I've ever seen, because a crew comes over to investigate. A crew of skeptics, I might add, and they are all dumbfounded. Because as they talk to Deborah and Tony, they watch scratches form on his face. And everyone keeps getting shocked. As the cameramen walk around, their legs and hands are getting shocked. Words are getting carved into Tony. The things that they capture on audio and camera. This story is completely bizarre, and I am so excited to be sharing it with you guys. I'm just gonna leave it for part 2. Alright, I'll catch you later.
Sallie? Okay, Sallie, we're gonna stop.
Disclaimer, I wanted to let you guys know I'm not allowed to show you any evidence of the scratches here on TikTok. There are some that I can because they're not intense, just, red line. And if you don't like anything paranormal, I'm just giving you a warning because this story is very scary. And it's a true story. So this is your chance if you don't want to see that. But if you like this story is perfect. It's now 1994, and a paranormal crew with a TV show called Sightings comes over to Tony and Deborah's house. They knock at the door. Deborah opens it and says, "Come on in." All 15 of them piled in to the living room. And as they're standing there, they feel this rush of cold air. And as this air encompasses their bodies, they then feel a static. As every hair on their body stands straight up, they begin to hear a popping sound. So they're looking around. They're like, what is that? And that's when they realize it's coming from their legs. So they grab their mic, they grab a camera, point it down, and film. With each wave of air and static, they hear Tony groan. And as they pan over to him, his arms are bleeding. So they're like, whoa, sit down, Tony, because he was holding his baby. And from there, they got a closer look and watched more form. They formed on his forehead, they formed on his stomach, and you can watch the unedited clips where they form on camera.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh my God.
So already, the crew is completely dumbfounded. And Jeff is just dripping blood. So much that they're putting napkins on him to wipe it all up. So the crew sets up a camera up in the nursery and in the living room, because they're going to be camping out at night. Their psychic, whose name is Jeff, begins to do his reading on the house. He walks over to the bottom of the stairs and looks up. He says, "Hey, Sallie." Instantly, the crew just put their hands over their mouths because this psychic didn't know anything about the house. And every psychic before him, every child that lived in that house, would constantly talk about a Sallie. The little girl at the top of the stairs is real. And Jeff is staring at her. He begins to walk up the stairs with Tony and Deborah following right behind him. When suddenly they hear a groan. Tony nearly falls over, but Deborah catches him, and she immediately knew what had happened. She lifts up the back of his shirt, revealing new scratches. Except these are much different. They're in the form of letters, a big M and C. No one has any idea what this means, and as it became dark outside, the energy became near unbearable. The crew split up, so Jeff and some of the cameramen went upstairs in the nursery, and Tony and some of the others went outside and sat in a circle on the patio. Standing in a pitch black room, Jeff begins to call out, "Sallie, Sallie, Sallie."
Whoever you are, identify yourself.
And then a moaning starts coming from the walls. This moaning grows louder and louder, and it was captured on camera. The same exact moaning that kept Deborah and Tony up every single night.
What do you hear?
You hear it?
You hear it?
Suddenly, a powerful energy begins to sway in and out of their bodies. They begin to look around. And then every camera gets taken over by this powerful interference as this energy is swooping by and passing through their bodies. An absolutely unbelievably powerful feeling. And so bizarre that every time it touches you, it feels like an out-of-body experience. And as every hair on their body stands up and begins to crackle, the moaning is getting louder and louder. And as this energy is swirling around Jeff's body, his face begins to burn and scratches start forming down his cheek. All the while, Tony is downstairs and they are filming scratches form on his collarbone. These investigations would go on, and by the end, Tony's body looked destroyed. Scratches from head to toe. And eventually, they moved out of the house and never looked back. But the paranormal activity did follow them. And that's when Tony decided to get an exorcism, which worked, but it destroyed his body. I can't show you any pictures, but it's pretty gnarly. There's only one time at a much later date where Tony and Deborah went back, and again, they begin to smell something burning. Tony jumps, looks down, lifts up his shirt, and all of his hairs are singed.
Oh, crap.
When I look at the newer investigations on the house, it seems like the activity isn't as intense anymore. I think that they got visited by something that stayed there for a little bit and then left. The house is definitely haunted, but not as much as it once was. Or maybe this thing followed Tony and Deborah, and maybe it will reappear.
You guys, tell me seriously that this was not creepy. And the thing is that this is real life. This happened. This actually happened. That makes it scarier, that much more scarier to me. I don't know about you guys, but that makes it that much more scary to think that all that happened and went down. Like, that blows my mind. I was literally like this. So, sorry guys, if you see some glitches, sorry. I was having some camera issues. I had to switch cameras, so the quality looks a little different. But, not to worry. That's what that is. I had to switch cameras, and cameras kept dying. Whatever. But, needless to say, what did you guys think of this? I hope that you enjoyed. I tried to put something together. I thought this is pretty cool. I have something pretty awesome coming up next. I hope you guys like that one as well. I think that was going to be pretty creepy. And then I think we might do another Karens versus the police. I noticed that you guys really like that a lot too. So yes guys, we made it to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed it. I thought it was really scary and spooky, and I thought maybe you guys would like it and enjoy it as well. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, especially if you are new here. I would love to have you. Do not forget to hit the bell so you can stay notified for any upcoming videos that I come out with. And with that all being said, guys, Have a great night, a great day, or whenever you are seeing this. And I hope that it didn't put you out too much. But until next time, I'm out here and I'll see you guys later. Peace.